Good evening, and welcome to the latest episode of Mystery Ghost Stories. You know my name, you know this game. Are you ready for tonight's episode? So, it has been a week and a half since I last made my video, so you may not remember what tonight's episode is, so let me remind you and refresh your memory. Mystery Ghost Stories, The Gridley Tunnel. What is the Gridley Tunnel? We're about to find out. I welcome you all on this ghostly journey. Located on the U.S. Yokosuka Naval Base in Yokohama, Japan, lies a narrow rubble named Gridley Tunnel. It runs through a hill named Gridley Lane to Nimitz Boulevard. This tunnel is barely big enough to fit a single car. If this wasn't spooky enough, this tunnel has a dark past. An unnamed samurai went to avenge the death of his lord. We have samurais. We are a minute and 20 seconds in, and we have a samurai reference. First ever, mind you. An unnamed samurai went to avenge the death of his lord. As he got to the tunnel, he was ambushed and murdered. Due to not completing his mission, his spirit is bound to the tunnel. Trying to complete the mission, he failed. Many reports of seeing this ghostly samurai come from those that travel the rubble. The most common is seeing the samurai in the rearview mirror before he vanishes. So I'm assuming someone that is in Japan wrote this because the English is off. But wait a minute, I thought it couldn't fit a car. Hold up. It's barely big enough to fit a single car. Okay. This often causes accidents as the drivers become startled. Some reports have stated that while walking through the tunnel, the samurai appears to them and touches their shoulder. A chill goes through their body. We're dealing with a ghost samurai in a tunnel. All these reports mostly come on rainy days between 1 and 3 a.m. The sightings have been so frequent that the Gridley Tunnel is deemed one of the most haunted locations in Japan. And we have a picture of it. Hold on, I just want to see if there's more caption here. There is not. So that was literally it for this article. This article was not the best. It was not the best. We have a picture here. Again, you know how this usually goes when I have to show images. You can sort of see that though, right? Yeah, not bad. Doesn't look haunted. And it looks like it could fit. Yeah, so it's when we're talking a tunnel that can fit a single car, that's literally what it is. All right, so let's go to another article because that one was rather lackluster. Surely there's more hauntings than just the samurai. This site is popular as one of the most haunted locations in Japan, and also because of several accidents that took place in the tunnel. Again, it's written in such a way that I assume Japanese people wrote it, and then they just translated it. How to reach Gridley Tunnel? Well, we don't really need to know that, do we? Many passersby claim that they have seen the ghost of a man dressed as a samurai. Some travelers said that they can see the samurai through their rearview mirror, which vanishes in the next moment. His sudden appearance diverts the mind of the driver and causes an accident. Some people also claim that when they were walking through the tunnel, this one's written just. I apologize. This one's written the same exact way as the other one. I don't understand. Can we have an English one that's not? All right. If this one's also broken Japanese English. Okay, it is thought that the ghost of this narrow one's. Okay, we already got that part. I really should have researched this before I did the video. This is getting sad. All we have is a samurai. That's all we have. This is getting really sad. Facebook? Oh, I'm not going to do that. Nope. There ain't much on here, is there? There's not much about the Gridley Tunnel here. All right. Nope, it just keeps talking about where the places are in Japan. Well, this is really lackluster. I am sincerely sorry. I thought there would be more on this place, and there really isn't. We're going to go to Reddit here. That's how desperate we're getting. Let's see what we have. Continue. Nope. Just a bunch of people talking about anime. If it's one of the most haunted places in Japan, why isn't there more on it? I've only found 2 articles, and everything else is just broken, comments about it. All right, we're going to try to go to the most haunted places in Japan. Maybe you can find it there. Because if not, then we're going to turn this into a very short episode, or I'm going to try to find something else. All right, you know what? This episode has just changed. Rather than talk about the Gridley Tunnel, we're going to talk about many haunted places in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, mystery ghost stories, the hauntings in Japan. Atsugi Naval Base. Located 2 hours south of Tokyo, Atsugi Naval Base has a secret past, which includes the fact that it was a CIA U-2 base which housed the U-2 flown over Russia by Gary Powers in the early 1960s. In 1957, Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of JFK, John Kennedy, was stationed at Atsugi as a Marine radar operator. Didn't have that on my list. The spirit of a young man who wanders aimlessly from room to room is said to haunt the naval base. It is believed that he is the ghost of a young Marine who was killed in a car accident back in the 1960s. Okay. Atsugi, the Corrosion Hangar Bay, the second haunted location of the Atsugi Naval Base, is located on the other side of the naval base. This hangar stands over an older one that was used by the kamikaze pilots of Imperial Japan. Here, many pilots killed themselves in disgrace after Japan's final surrender to the Allied powers. It is said that the doors slam and disembodied red eyes float about. That one's interesting because if they were kamikazes and they killed themselves, would they be allowed to come back as spirits? Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. Field Hospital, Kanagawa Prefecture. Just a reminder, this started off as Mystery Ghost Stories, the Gridley Tunnel, but seeing as there was only 2 articles on the internet about the Gridley Tunnel, If there are more and I'm wrong, please send them my way. We've decided to change this episode, or I've decided to change this episode to Mystery Ghost Stories, the Haunting Places of Japan. Field Hospital. Field Hospital is located on the military base named Sagami Depot. The hospital has been the site of several unexplainable occurrences. The building is hardly used, but nightly security checks reveal raised windows and locked doors that have been previously unlocked. Many of the military police who patrol the building have reported hearing someone or something walking around inside. If the building is it's hardly used, what does that mean? It's a field hospital, which means it's probably not used anymore. But according to this, it's hardly used. But they must use it enough if they're running security on it. You know what I mean? Interesting. Iwakuni Barracks, 1687, room 301. A few years ago, a Marine living in that room committed suicide. A lot of Japanese Marines just crazy, just getting killed. He broke the mirror in a fit of drunken rage and slit his wrist with one of the shards of broken glass. Since then, there have been reports from other soldiers staying in the room that sometimes very late at night, when looking into the mirror, the dead Marine stares back from somewhere deep inside. That's pretty creepy. That's pretty creepy. Wow. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No shit. It should have come as no surprise that these two sites of such terrible tragedy are haunted by the unfortunate souls who perished during the nuclear bomb attacks at the end of World War II. Ghostly voices are heard at twilight, crying and screaming for help. Okinawa, Camp Hansen, Gate Number 3. After darkness falls, every weekend a soldier with blood all over his World War II fatigues and a cigarette in his hand would ask the gate god, "Got a light?" The MP would oblige, and as soon as the cigarette was lit, the soldier would disappear. Whether you believe this or not, Gate Number 3 at Camp Hansen is closed because of this reported haunting. Whoa, wait a minute. Every weekend a soldier with blood. Okay, so wait a minute here. Every weekend a soldier with blood all over his World War II fatigues and a cigarette in his hand would ask the gate guard, "Got a light?" And the guard would say, he would oblige and give him and light the cigarette. And then the soldier disappears. My question is it the same guard at the gate? If it's not, and they're all reporting it, then surely, yeah, that's pretty creepy. If it's the same guy, it's still just as creepy, but it's like, how many times did he report it? Like, how many times did it happen? Did it happen twice, like 3 times, to the point where he was like, "Hey, yeah, there's a guy that keeps coming by here and asking me for a light for a cigarette. Only he's not real. Well, he was real, and he's a ghost. What? Be here at the same time with me tomorrow so you can see for yourself." And then they all probably just watched. I could just see that happening. Tokyo, Akasaka Mansion. Many guests have reported seeing specters standing at the ends of their beds, white mists coming in through the air vents, and sudden changes of temperature in their rooms. Some have reported a feeling of someone stroking their heads while they sleep. That's not cool. And one person claimed she was dragged from her bed to the other side of the room and then back again. Japanese poltergeist. Scratches mark on the back scratch marks on her back the next day corroborated her story. Oh, that's definitely not cool. Hey, we got the Gridley Tunnel finally. Third reference of it. That's what started this. That's what this whole video was supposed to be on. But little did I know that there's hardly anything on the Gridley Tunnel. It is thought that the ghost of this narrow one-way tunnel runs through a hill that does something. Yeah, we already know this. Because he failed in his mission, he can't leave his place of death. This is true. Samurai legend Samurai lore states, if you do not complete your mission, you are a disgrace, and you must haunt the place until you succeed. Visions of the samurai, as reported by passing motorists, have caused several accidents in the tunnel over the years. But what a weird thing to say, a tunnel, a samurai. Hold on, okay. Himuro Mansion, Tokyo outskirts. The basis of the survival the basis of the survival horror video game series that deals with ghosts, exorcisms, and dark Shinto rituals. Fatal Frame. Himuro Mansion was the site of a brutal family murder and sacrifice. Many weird happenings have been reported in and near the old mansion, including apparitions of those who once lived there, bloody handprints, and sprays of blood which mysteriously appear on the walls. Sometimes a small girl in a kimono is seen in one of the windows. To add to the mansion's mystery, no one knows the significance of the vast tunnels that run underneath. Interesting. Yokohama Ikigo. If I'm pronouncing these wrong, I apologize. I'm usually good at pronouncing stuff, but Japanese stuff will get you. I believe this is the last article for haunted places in Japan. This is going to be a really short video, but at least I found something else to talk about, because otherwise it would have been a 7-minute video about 2 articles on the Gridley Tunnel. Yokohama Ihigo, the Middle Gate. The Middle Gate marks a spot where a concentration camp from the World War II era once stood. Here, thousands of Chinese and Korean people were put to work and then killed by the Japanese army. Asian hate crime on each other, damn. Civil War. Today it serves as a U.S. military housing base. There are 5 incinerators on the premises and 3 gates that separate it from the Japanese community. At the Middle Gate, patrol guards have reported hearing voices and footsteps, and have described the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. One recurring vision occurs: a Japanese soldier from World War II in a brown uniform with no legs floating between the middle and back gates. Imagine seeing a soldier with no feet just hovering and floating. All right, well, this has been very uneventful. I wouldn't say totally uneventful, but this has been rather lackluster in what I thought was going to be a great topic about the Gridley Tunnel. And wouldn't you know it, there's not much on it. Basically, the Gridley Tunnel is a tunnel in Japan that is haunted by a samurai, and people that go in the tunnel that are driving are thrown off, and it causes many accidents because they see the ghost samurai. And then, of course, we had the other Japanese ghost stories that we've just heard. But let me do something real quick before I let you all go. Next week's episode, it also has to do with Japan, so I could probably talk about it right now, but I don't want to do that. But at the very least, I can confirm with you all right here, right now, live, as to whether or not I should be doing an episode next week on it. Next week's episode is on the Sanzi Pod City. Before I find out whether or not I can do a video on it, let me just tell you right now, Sanzi Pod City, in my opinion, one of the creepiest places I have ever heard about. And I've heard about a lot of creepy places. So, in a nutshell, Sanzi Pod City, I believe it might be in Vietnam, Japan, it's in some Asian city. Okay. The Sanji UFO houses, also known as the UFO houses of Sanji, are pod houses or Pod City, were a set of abandoned and never completed pod-shaped buildings in the Sanji district of New Taipei, Taiwan. They're in Taiwan. Taiwan. The buildings resembled future houses, some examples of which can be found elsewhere in Taiwan. All right, there's plenty. We got a wiki page, we got a World Abandoned, Rethinking the Future, Abandoned Places, World Architecture. Okay, we got plenty to go. Next week on World. Next week on Mystery Ghost Stories, Sanzi Pod City. Get ready to be creeped out. Seriously. This has been Mystery Ghost Stories, the Gridley Tunnel, and other Japanese places that are haunted. I'm, of course, your host, Justin Bienvenue. Until next.